10 affordable fragrances that you can dress up. Hey guys, I'm George, the nice merry gentleman, and it's time for your dose of some fragrance content. Today I'm going to talk about affordable Middle Eastern fragrances that you can dress up. Fragrances that you can use in those occasions where you need to put a shirt on, maybe a jacket, a blazer, a suit or something like that, and you need to wear an appropriate fragrance for those occasions. So my suggestions today, I've included a total of 10 of my suggestions, and I'm going to start with something from the brand of Afnan. That's part of the Turathi line. This one is called simply Turathi or Turathi Brown, as some people call it. This one smells a lot like YSL Tuxedo. But it's not exactly the same. This feels like a slight twist of the original scent. Mainly this feels a little bit sweeter, maybe slightly less spicy than Tuxedo itself. But it's a nice masculine fragrance that feels a little bit old school. You know, that has a bit of a barbershoppy vibe, but something that you can definitely dress up if you want. You can wear this in the office if you're working in such a type of environment. You can wear this one on, let's say, some sort of a business meeting. Maybe you're going on a night out where you need to be dressed up. This is a very, very suiting fragrance for those kind of occasions. It's sweet, slightly spicy, there's a bit of rose in this one that gives it a bit of sort of like a nostalgic vibe, gives it a bit of a dressed up vibe as well. This one feels, as I said, a little bit sweeter than Tuxedo itself, but overall has the very nice quality, high quality that you would expect from the brand of Afnan, and also pretty strong performance. And again, keep in mind that just feels slightly old school and slightly barbershoppy, but if you're not afraid of that, then I think this is a great fragrance. The next one comes from the brand of Rasasi, and it's part of the Hawas line. This one is called Hawas Black, and this one smells a lot like Nishane Hashivat. And Nishane Hashivat, although it's quite a versatile fragrance in my opinion, and I really like the original one, this also brings a bit of Creed Aventus vibes. I've always thought of you know, Nishane Hashivat and stuff like Hawas Black, which is a clone of Hashivat, to be like a more dressed up, a slightly more mature, slightly more special occasion version of Creed Aventus, of the scent profile of Creed Aventus. So this has less sweetness than Creed Aventus. This has a little bit more greenness. It has a stronger oak moss note. In this one feels a little bit more earthy, slightly more gentleman-y, slightly more mature, slightly more dressed up. And this is a fragrance that in reality you can wear throughout the year for any type of occasion. But for me, I've always thought of you know, Hawas Black and Nishane Hashivat to be great fragrances for those times when you need to be dressed up. The quality is very nice. The oil concentration is very high with this fragrance, and this is a beast of a performer, lasts for a very, very long time and projects really, really nicely. My next suggestion comes from the brand of Haramain, and it's part of the Amber Oud line. This one is called Amber Oud Black Edition. Now this is not a clone of something particularly out there, although this may remind you of stuff like Tom Ford's FM Fabulous if you are familiar with that original scent, but this smells like it, but at the same time feels quite different. This is very dark, it's very sweet. It's also kind of spicy, has a strong tobacco note in here that feels very ashy in a way, maybe has a hint of leather, and overall this is a very unique scent that maybe sometimes can be a bit hard to pull off, but one of those best occasions, one of those best scenarios where it can pull this scent off, in my opinion, is when you're fully dressed up. If you're like wearing a suit, tuxedo, something like that, and for those type of occasions where you really want to make a statement, if you want to make your presence known, even not only with your outfit, the way you look, but also the way that you smell. This is a strong fragrance that smells dark, that smells sophisticated, and lasts for a long time and projects really nicely. The quality is great, so on top of this interesting dressed up scent profile, you're also getting pretty beastly performance. And I've always thought of Amber Oud Black Edition to be a great dressed up scent, so that's why I've included it in today's video. The next one comes from the brand of Lattafa, one of their sort of recent releases. It's called Habik for Men. Now the original that this has been inspired by, it's not exactly the best fragrance to dress up, in my opinion. The original is called Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Mole Essence de Parfum. But the thing in here with Habik is that this is a less sweeter version of the original scent. The original can serve more as a let's say a date night fragrance, but because this has toned down sweetness and slightly more spiciness, it feels a little bit more oriental than the original. This, in my opinion, can work as a dressed up scent. It has nice quality, smells reasonably close to Essence de Parfum, and since we don't have that many options when it comes to Essence de Parfum clones, pretty much this along with Fragrance Posh Omega from the brand of Fragrance World are your two best options. So this is spicy, it has some suede leather in here, you've got some vanillic sweetness, some cardamom and stuff like that. Again, because it feels more spicy than the original and less sweet, this can be dressed up in my opinion. The next one that I'm about to show comes from the brand of Maison Alhambra, and I haven't talked about this fragrance like an eternity for some reason, but I really dig this fragrance. It's part of the Zafiro collection and it's called Crafted Oud. This one is a clone of Carved Oud by Tamim. In a way, this also smells very similar to Tom Ford's Oud Wood. And I've said this before, but I'm a huge fan of this scent DNA because of how sophisticated, dark, and at the same time masculine it smells. There's an agar oud note in here, just like the name would suggest. There's some other additional ouds. There's a hint of greenness. There's quite a bit of spiciness, some sweetness, maybe a hint of incense as well. It's dark and it's sophisticated and very masculine, and one of those scents that I definitely cannot see any other type of wearing this one other than being actually pretty much dressed up in order to pull this one correctly. The quality is really good. This used to be one of the more expensive Maison Alhambra fragrances, but you get great quality and quite good quality in return, and also pretty good performance. The next one comes from the brand of Ahmed Al Maghribi, and it's one of those more summery scents, dressed up scents that I've included in today's video. In fact, probably the only that feels a little bit fresher in a way. It's called Blue Oud, and this is an interesting fragrance that I don't think is a clone of anything out there, but personally, to me this smells quite a bit like let's say Imperial Valley from Giza without being a clone of that one. This is a fresher, slightly more aquatic take. So it's an interesting, slightly fresh and at the same time serious enough a fragrance to actually dress up if you want. It smells fresh and aquatic on one hand, and there's some leather and a bit of a skanky, animalic feeling agar oud note, which is not overpowering. It's not like something you should be afraid of to wear actually. This is not that challenging at all. It just has an interesting twist, an interesting combination of notes that you don't run into you know, every day. Good quality, performance is above average, it's not super strong. To be honest, I expected this one to be slightly longer lasting, but maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you can overspray this one a little bit without feeling, you know, being afraid that you're going to scare people away. So an interesting, slight, fresh, aquatic scent that you can dress up for today's video is Blue Oud from Ahmed Al Maghribi. My next suggestion clones an original scent that is probably the first scent that pops up into my mind whenever I think of a dressed up situation, a dressed up occasion. The original one is called Dior Homme Intense, and the clone comes from the brand of Paris Corner, and it's called Camaro Homme Intense. And this is one of the very best clones of Dior Homme Intense that you can get, this one along with Cayenne Classic. For today's video I went with Camaro Homme Intense. This of course relies on the powdery, makeup-y iris note that feels a little bit buttery in a way. It feels sweet, there's some woods and musks on the dry down, a bit of that sort of a chocolatey or cacao-y vibe that you get in the original fragrance, and maybe even a hint of leather, which adds just a touch of masculinity to otherwise a scent profile that a lot of people actually can call, you know, unisex. Although for me personally that powdery lipstick scent profile is very masculine, but that's my own opinion. Again, this is a fragrance that the only time that I can really think of wearing properly is if I'm at least a little bit dressed up, like at least have a shirt on or something like that, because other than that you don't do really justice to the scent profile. Nice quality, good performance, and very affordable price. The next one comes from the brand of Arabiyat Prestige, one of my recent purchases. This one is called Ramad Oriental, and this one is a clone of Amouage Outlands. And this is another one of those like scents that I personally only sort of on you know, link to dressed up situations. This is spicy, in fact it's quite spicy, a hint boozy. There's maybe a bit of leather in here, there's a bit of sort of like a balsamic touch or resinous touch on the dry down, some sweetness, very oriental, very quite unique actually as a scent profile. And again, I just cannot imagine wearing this one when let's say I'm wearing a t-shirt or something like that. I think to do real justice to the scent profile of this fragrance, you really need to like be properly dressed up. Good quality, good performance, overall a great fragrance, a little bit more on the unique side. So keep in mind that this, along with, let's say, what was it, blue oud, with crafted oud, with amber oud black edition, those are scents that you probably should first try before you actually pull the trigger on a full bottle, because they can be a little bit challenging. And the last two scents that I've included in today's video come from the brand of French Avenue. The first one is part of the Raw Blend line, and it's called Raw Blend Sequoia. And this is probably the sweetest and the most unisex feeling fragrance out of all that I've included in today's video. This is a clone of Kilian's Angel Share Paradise. Now, the original scent profile of Angel Share is a tad too sweet in my opinion to work as a dressed up scent, but what Kilian did with the flanker and what French Avenue did with their clone was they toned down a little bit that sweetness and that booziness of the original fragrance, and they added a hint of a raspberry note, which adds classiness to the scent profile and adds a bit of softness to the scent profile, just softens up a little bit that sweetness and that booziness of the original scent. And they, you know, those a few minor twists here and there, they just elevate the scent profile to a new level when it comes to how sophisticated it feels and how dressed up it feels. This is probably, you know, the most dressed up fragrance in the whole Raw Blend line. Very nice quality, strong performance. I wore this last night and it stayed with me throughout the duration of the night. With time, this has gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. Projection is not super strong, but again, I think that's a good thing with this scent profile, especially if you dress up this one. And if you're looking for a very nicely done clone of Angel Share Paradise, Raw Blend Sequoia is exactly that. And the last one that I've included in today's video, again from French Avenue, is called Amber Saffron. And this is not a clone of anything. This is probably the only one of the few original scents featured in today's video. This is an original creation by French Avenue. This one, as the name would suggest, has a strong saffron note, which feels of super high quality, feels a hint boozy. There's some spiciness with this fragrance, a hint of slightly animalic feeling, smelling agar oud note, but that's only in the first few minutes of the life of this one, and quite a bit of amber sweetness on the dry down. Again, another very sophisticated scent. That's probably the best way to wear this one, to do justice, the best way to do justice to the whole scent profile is by dressing this one up. It's not frightening by any way. It's appropriate for office usage. You can even wear this one on a night out or a date night if you have to be dressed up. But again, I think you should be dressed up to properly wear Amber Saffron. Super nice quality. Good performance when we talk about total longevity, a little bit softer when it comes to projection, but again I think this is only a good time in this case, a good thing in this case, because of the slightly more challenging, slightly more unique scent profile of Amber Saffron. And so guys, in today's video I showed you 10 affordable fragrances that you can dress up if you need so. I hope that you found today's video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in my next video for your dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.